And with that, welcome into a special edition of KC Sports Tonight stream because we've got a live Neal Jones. Always a treat. Jared Koller here in studio. We are talking Royals, K-State football, KU football, Sporting KC, and Neal's great adventure. But first, Neal, tell the people where the heck you are in the field. What you got going on tonight?
I am at an undisclosed location. I know it says Ruskin High School back there, but that might not necessarily be true because I'm on a very special story that I'm going to do right after this. I think this will tell you a lot about me as a human being.
Okay.
The parking lot is completely empty. Nobody's here, and yet I refuse to park. I parked in a vice principal's parking spot and moved the car because I am so frightened by the thought of making a vice principal angry. That goes back to when I was in middle school, when I got paddled. I got paddled by a middle school vice principal because we were playing dodgeball, and they said don't hit people in the head when you play dodgeball. And I kept hitting people in the head, and I got paddled for that, although I was a dodgeball all-star that year in 7th grade, so I guess that's a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, I think the vice principal was right. Listen, had he not corralled Neal Jones at that age, Lord knows what old man Jones would have become. I don't know if I could handle that, so I'm glad he molded the Mr. Jones that we have today. Shout out him.
And the other thing is, where is Scott Reese? Letting you run this show is like when I let my 12-year-old daughter drive my golf cart in Florida. It was a fun idea in theory, kind of frightening in reality.
I know. This is the third straight day I've done it here. Unfortunately, Marlia now is, I don't know what she's up to. I'm stuck with you here, and I already talked with you enough on the weekends, and now the poor people on a Wednesday are stuck with us. Mainly because Neal and I, we always agree on everything we talk about, especially the Royals, which is where we're going to start today. Neal, are you drinking the Kool-Aid? Because they are victorious in Game 1 of the doubleheader today. They beat the Cardinals 6-4 in St. Louis, thanks to a Salvador Perez go-ahead home run in the 6th, and they tack on a couple more runs after that. MJ Melendez and Garrett Hampson had a couple RBI doubles on the mound. Alec Marsh goes 6 innings, allows 3 runs, and strikes out 8. Will Smith, Sam Long, scoreless innings out of the bullpen, and James MacArthur gets the save. So there's your rundown, folks, if you missed it. Neal Jones, your instant takeaway from an I-70 series win.
That you didn't tell that story well at all. This was a game in which St. Louis comes out and they are leading 3-0. Nothing, and I mean nothing, is going on right for the Royals. And this is probably a game 2 years ago they lose. Probably last year this is a game they lose. But they hang in there and they start chipping away and they start getting into the Cardinals pitching a little bit. And they come back, score 6 straight runs. Very impressive performance, at least 6 when I was listening to them. I started doing some work, so I don't know what they did after that. But this is a nice win, and let's hope that they can take care of business in the nighttime version of this game, because as you know, I mean, are you asking me, am I a believer? I am becoming a believer, absolutely. Now there's 69 games left, so there's plenty of time, but we're deep enough into the season that you're starting to see some trends, and that you're starting to learn things that are real. You can mask problems, you can ride 2 or 3 hot pitchers, you can ride a couple of hot hitters for about 20 games. After a while, problems will come up, and you can't hide them. And I think this team has proven that they are for real. Whether that means they're in the playoffs or not, I don't know. But this is going to be an exciting. I know they got a big game tonight, but Jared, if you look to the weekend, they're playing against the Red Sox, and they are currently battling the Red Sox. That's one of the 3 teams ahead of them in the wild card race in the American League. And while you don't have to win these games, as you know, at the end of the year, you're going to look back and boy, you really hope you take care of business against the teams ahead of you. If you can do that, you have a great chance of making it.
Right. The Red Sox are directly ahead of the Royals in the wild card race as we speak here on Wednesday afternoon, 1.5 games up. Now, if the Royals can take care of business tonight, maybe they close the gap. And the other good news about it, Neal, is it's kind of like a playoff series because look at the pitching matchups. You've got your ace, Cole Reagans, on Friday. You've got your other ace, Seth Lugo, on Saturday. And then the guy who some people thought might have had an outside shot at the All-Star game, Brady Singer, on Sunday. Those are your top 3 big dogs. at Fenway Park, a weird place to pitch. And I think this is the biggest series of the year for the Royals coming up. And so the fact that they at least got one out of St. Louis, okay? Most doubleheaders, the math says, most doubleheaders are splits, okay? What you couldn't do is go in and lose both, all right? So they win game one. If they win game two, that's great. You're rolling in with house money. But you take care of business. At worst, you split going into the biggest series of the year, Neal. I'm excited for what's ahead. It's a great measuring stick.
As you know, baseball can be it's not football. The best football team has a really good chance of winning every game, particularly at the collegiate level. In pro football, a little more problematic because the margin of between the two teams, as we've seen with the Chiefs in the playoffs, they don't beat people by 21 points, but they beat them, and that's got them to 2 straight Super Bowls with 2 wins in the Super Bowls. Well, in baseball, the best team doesn't always win.
Sure.
And I look back to the first two games of that Colorado Rockies series, a bad team. You go, look, I know that ballpark is a weird place to play, but the Royals are one of the few teams that are peculiarly set up to play well there. It is the biggest outfield in baseball, which we hear all the time. Oh, that works to the Rockies' advantage because these teams come in with these home run hitting guys playing out in the outfield who can't run, and they're in trouble. Well, the Royals have the second biggest outfield in all of baseball, so you think that would help them. And they got a couple of really good start in that series, and they couldn't make it work. I mean, they weren't able to hold on to the lead. So
all three starts were good.
I'm hopeful. I think it was Cole Reagan's. I saw him absolutely dominate. Was it him? He was dominating, and then the Royals made some mistakes.
The bullpen struggled,
they had a problem. The catcher missed a ball. There was a ball that was in the dirt. Catcher lost it. It allows a guy to go from first to second.
Freddie Fermin didn't have a great game there.
And he comes home. Yeah, but it was tough. I mean, you want your pitcher to throw his best stuff, and if he buries it in the dirt, if you're a low ball pitcher, that's your job, is to keep it in front of you. In that one case, he wasn't able to. It led to the go-ahead run for the Rockies, and that's a small thing that the analytics people don't even factor in, because all they care about are home runs and strikeouts for pitchers, home runs for offense, and it's those kind of plays that absolutely add up, and they can separate a team from the packs. So my whole point of bringing that up is you've got to take care of business. You just got to play your good baseball. I was actually in Boston for a series the year that they finally broke through, and I think it was 2005 when they finally broke through and won their first World Series. And the Texas Rangers were red hot. They had been in Kansas City playing great baseball. They went up there in front of sellout crowds against a good Boston team, not a great Boston team at that point, but a good one, a little bit like the one that they've got this year. And in front of that crowd, it's like Arrowhead Stadium. It's always packed, and the fans are in on every single pitch. They boo everything that goes against them. They cheer everything that goes for them. They get on the opposing outfielders. They chant at them. If a guy strikes out or if he makes an error, they're yelling at him. It's a little bit like Yankee Stadium in that regard. So at the time, I was talking to Bob Lobel, who was the CBS sports director at WBZ in Boston, who worked on the Red Sox post and pregame show, and he said that we see this happen all the time. Teams come in here and they don't play well because, except for the Yankees and teams maybe in the East that play there a lot, because they're not used to it. And like you said, it's a weird ballpark, and you're playing in front of a crowd kind of like at Arrowhead. Everybody knows it, and everybody cares about the game, and it can get in people's heads. So it'll be interesting to see how the Royals do up there against a team I think that they ought to be able to go toe-to-toe with.
Right, they're equal in match, but as Gabe Swartz will say, hey, they had their 3 top pitchers against Colorado. You know, it lined up nicely for that, and they only got 1 out of 3 against a team that's way worse than the Red Sox. So just because you have your top 3 going does not mean that they can. Timmy the intern, sorry. Yeah, I forgot. I forgot his real name.
Timmy, hey, Timmy knows his stuff sometimes. For instance,
sometimes
he knew that the Red Sox were in the same division with the Yankees. He knew that.
Well, congratulations to Timmy.
Pretty good
yes,
for an intern.
Neal, on the Royals, let's end with the milestone, folks. If you didn't see it today, Salvador Perez hit his 261st career home runs. That puts him into 9th most home runs by any catcher in baseball history. He has 9 All-Star games now, just decided a few days ago. That is 12th most in baseball history. Neal, we are reaching a mark where Salvador Perez, was already a Royals legend, but as he continues to climb up these history books, Neal, we're talking about a player that has a legitimate chance if he can keep going down this road, to join George Brett in Cooperstown one day. It's an incredible legacy, Neal.
Rex Hudler, who played in New York City for the Yankees early on in his time in Kansas City, they were up there playing, the Royals were up there playing a series, and Salvi threw a guy out and got out there and kind of yelled at his pitcher in a mound visit and kind of got a guy back on the beam, and I think he hit a big home run or a double or something that scored a couple of runs to win the game. And Rex said, this guy is a superstar that nobody knows about. Boy, he would look great in pinstripes. Now, what he meant was that he would be good for baseball, because if Sal Perez, and people got mad about that. I didn't really get mad at it, because I don't think Rex ever meant to be I don't think he's ever anti-Royal. I think he meant it as a compliment, meaning, boy, this guy could play on the biggest stage. And I agree with him. I think the only reason Sal Perez is not a superstar is that he does not play in Los Angeles, Boston, or New York. He hasn't played in 5 or 6 World Series. A lot of his biggest plays have come during regular season games that at the end of the day didn't really affect the pennant race. He is great. Let me ask you a question, though. I tease you a lot, we kid a lot. This is a serious question. Somebody wrote on Facebook yesterday or the day before, and he said, in my opinion, this is the best Royal of all time. That Sal Perez is the greatest Royal of all time. I'll tell you right now, I don't agree with that. If he plays another 4, if he's able to play 4 years, and listen, he has been effective as a DH and as out in the field. He's made some good plays defensively at first base. If he can extend his career by playing in the field and continue to do what he's done, maybe I'll disagree. But I'm going to ask you, do you think he is the greatest Royal of all time?
No, and I don't think it's that particularly close, obviously George Brett being the greatest. I think the only thing that could make it close is George Brett had a lot more playoff success than Salvi as a whole, but they had the same number of pennants, and they had the same number of World Series wins. If for whatever reason Salvador Perez can lead this team to more pennants, more World Series, then you can say, hey, he was maybe the most influential Royal because he led multiple World Series teams, something that George Brett only hoisted the trophy once. But no, listen, I mean, George Brett has 3,000 hits. He had the 390 season. He's got MVP. George Brett led the league in batting in 3 different decades. What Salvi has going for him is he's a catcher, and the fact that he's able to hit like he does as a catcher makes him one of the greatest catchers of all time. But listen, there's no shame in being the second greatest Royal. I think that's the conversation now. Is Salvador Perez surpassed Brett Saberhagen? Is Salvador Perez surpassed Frank White? Those are the top 2. If you want to throw maybe Alex Gordon in there or something, but that's, I think, a little bit more of the conversation. But nonetheless, Salvador Perez, Neal, is the face of a generation. When my generation thinks of Royals baseball, they don't think of George Brett, they think of Salvador Perez. So I think that's the claim that he can stake and be proud of.
There's something about him, and you don't have to be at the ballpark to see that. My daughter used to watch games with me back when we could get the Royals games on television everywhere all the time, and I would go home and watch the games, and she would watch. She liked him just from his demeanor, she played softball. She was like in 2nd and 3rd grade, and she played softball. She said, look how he helps the other catcher. He picks up the bat, or he'll pick up the mask. Look how he treats people. Look how he interacts with the umpires. I don't think she said interacts, but she could tell he was special. And so when we would go to games, when she got older in junior high and high school, she's like, this is so neat. What's he like? And I said, he's every bit as nice as you would think. The fact that he had so much fun on social media and showed funny incidents from the team bus or the flight, or the clubhouse, that made him. For people like that who, because she played softball, she kind of understood the game and she knew how tough it was to catch. She thought it was really, really neat. He is a special guy.
Yeah, he's a fan favorite.
I used to ask the question back in the 2000s, early 2000s, when they were just late 90s, and when they were just awful. I used to ask the question, I'm sorry, the ice cream truck is coming through.
They're coming for you, Neal.
And the ice
You've been too positive. They're used to you being grumpy. They're saying, hey, something's wrong with this man.
No, they've got ice cream sandwiches on sale. It just drove by, and they wanted to get the word out that the ice cream is on sale.
That's effective.
But I used to ask the question on radio, a serious question. I'd go, who on this team, and this was when the Royals were really bad, who on this team would you want to come and see 20 years from now on Old Timers Day? Is there anybody on this team? And this is before they got Alex Gordon. It was kind of like the Glass family, Dan Glass and David Glass, they had not really gone after trying to win. There was a sense, in fact, that they weren't trying to win because they wanted to buy the team. And they got rid of a couple of guys who I thought were big time players in this town that the fans really liked a lot. They traded him for nothing, including David Cohn. They just got nothing for that. And that was just David Glass being mad at David Cohn because he was on the player side during the strike. I mean, he was there every day during the negotiations. David Cohn told me, I tried to be nice to Mr. Glass. I always said hello to him. I was always very respectful at the table. But the fact that he was across the table from him, he couldn't get over that. So he traded him for no reason. There was just nothing to reason. Well, now look at the guys who've come through since Mr. Glass hired Dayton Moore and put money into the system, and they went out and got players, and they were aggressive. They weren't afraid to make deals. They hit on some draft picks. Now there are a lot of guys that 20 years from now, if I were alive, I would want to come. And I promise you my daughter will want to see Salvi. And a lot of these guys, Kane as well. I think Lorenzo Kane, one of the most popular guys around. But I got to be honest with you, I think Salvi is special. I think he's the one guy I don't think I would trade. I know that there's going to be a day when maybe they can get more for him than he can give them, but the fact is there's certain people you want to see play out their career, and Sal Perez is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, he's a part of a group that brought baseball back to Kansas City for an entire generation and might do it a second time. But yeah, I mean, I think Salvador Perez, Lorenzo Kane, Alex Gordon, Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas, Terod Dyson, I think those are the top ones that come to mind as far as fan favorites. You mentioned how your daughter talked about him as a teammate. I posted a tweet this weekend of all his former teammates kind of talking about how much they love playing with him because he loves playing baseball and he's the hardest worker. So you can catch that on our Twitter page where the caption is, he is the only catcher in baseball history with 9 All-Star games, 5 Gold Gloves, 4 Silver Sluggers, and a World Series MVP. So, all right, that's a lot of Royals talk, so we're going to speed through these next topics. I blame Neal for talking about David Cohn in the 90s, side-railing us. Okay, Kansas State football, Neal. Let's start there. It's Big 12 Media Days in Las Vegas. They talked on Tuesday. Avery Johnson, Chris Kleiman. Kansas State, are they getting the respect they deserve this year?
They never get the respect they deserve. They just don't, because they're Kansas State. They're in Manhattan, Kansas. They're not in the SEC. If they were in the SEC, they would be like Mississippi State. They wouldn't get the respect they deserve, but at least they'd be on the national thing and all the SEC propaganda machines on the ESPN network and things like that, the SEC network. All that propaganda would be going. I mean, because every day on ESPN, on their ESPN.com, if you go to the conferences and you go to news, there's more SEC than anything, and they give love to everybody. And we would all know about these guys. I mean, we've seen players the last 4 or 5 years that would be national superstars. Great stories if they weren't at Kansas State, but that's the way it is. And to a certain degree, that's the way it is at the University of Kansas as well. To answer your question, right. No one really knows how good they are. Nobody knows how good they are. I think that they have a chance to be great. I think the guy that went out there, their quarterback, he's got more than long hair on his shoulders. He has a lot of pressure on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Avery Johnson has shown that he's a great athlete. He can run. He can run like the wind. He can explode. He's a difference maker. We are told and we think he's going to be able to execute the passing game, but we will find out, because I can promise you that every defense they play in the first month and a half of the season is going to say, let's make this guy a one-dimensional quarterback. Let's bottle him up in the pocket and make him throw the football. Is he tall enough to look over the offensive line? We do not want him run him around. It's like Patrick Mahomes when the Patriots used to play against him early in his career. They figured out we cannot let Tyreek Hill run free, and we cannot let Patrick Mahomes roll around, particularly to his right. And so Bill Belichick devised a defense to try to either bottle him up in the pocket or make Patrick roll to his left where they thought he was less effective. It didn't always work, but it did slow the Chiefs' offense down. I guarantee that that's what they're going to do with Avery Johnson, because they cannot allow this guy to split the gap and get in the open field, because he'll outrun everybody.
He needs to be good because they sent someone packing who was pretty good in Will Howard off to Ohio State. He's a Heisman Trophy.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I understand because you're going for the – because Avery Johnson is someone that if you didn't give him the job this year, he would transfer out, and he's got more eligibility, so it's a longer play. You think Johnson will be the quarterback for K-State for at least the next 2 years, whereas Howard's in his last year of eligibility. And I think Johnson's ceiling is higher because we did see him pass well at times last year, not necessarily consistently, not as much as Will Howard needed to. But no, I think it was the right move, but it's one that could backfire. It's no guarantee just because somebody's talented. But if I had to bet, I would say Avery Johnson would be a better college quarterback than Will Howard. We will talk about this a lot more. Well, go ahead. Finish on K-State real quick here, Neal.
Well, you said something earlier today. We were talking about stuff, and you talked about how much they trust Avery Johnson. We know how much that Coach Chris Kleiman and everybody on the team, how much they love Will Howard.
Right.
They love him. They respect him. I did a story last year about him as a person, and they talked about how great a leader he was. For them to allow him to leave, and they did allow him to leave. They could have kept him if they really wanted to. They probably would have lost Avery, like you said. But for them to make that decision tells you a lot about Avery Johnson. I don't think they make this decision except they really trust Avery Johnson as a leader, as a player, and as a person.
Their over-under win total is at 9.5, plus 250 to make the college football playoff, while the Kansas Jayhawks, their over-under win total is at 8, plus 600 to make the college football playoff. Lance Leipold talked today, Neal, a lot about Jalen Daniels, but as a whole, this offense is more than just the quarterback. They've got great defenders returning. With how easy their schedule is, Neal, I really like the over of 8 wins. I think this KU team can really do some damage. Depending on how they do against Kansas State, that'll be a big game. Iowa State, that'll be a big game. But outside of that, I think KU, if they stay healthy, can do some damage. Agree?
I do. I have been on my whole question this summer has been, which KU team are we going to see? Are we going to see the starting quarterback play? But he only played in 3 games last year. We know when he's healthy he can play, but he's had a history of missing a bunch of games. So the question, and I'm not sure about Cole Ballard, but since the summer has progressed, in the last 3 or 4 days, I've talked to 2 people who are in a position to know over in Lawrence, and I'm not talking about radio or TV people or newspaper people.
Yeah, they don't know anything.
Who've told me you have no idea how good our backups are, how they have come along. Cole Ballard is a different player. They love their new offensive. They've got a new offensive coordinator. They brought him from Baylor, who had great success down there when they were winning leagues and challenging to go to the playoffs. They really feel like they didn't like losing their offensive coordinator to Penn State, but they said they replaced him with a guy who's really special, and they really believe that they are developing the young quarterbacks, including Mikey Pauley, the guy who started at Nebraska.
Blue Valley Northwest.
Didn't
start
really
at Nebraska.
Throw the football. Pardon me?
He didn't start. He didn't actually play.
His career at Nebraska.
Yes. Just want to clarify for people right.
He went up there.
Yeah.
He signed with Nebraska. He's actually a better baseball player.
Right.
He's a catcher, probably a better. He's supposedly, if you talk to his mom and dad, they said, oh, no, he's going to play baseball. He can help out in football. But I saw him. He can throw the football. He can make plays. Whether he can do it at the college level remains to be seen. But I'm told that they've got 3 or 4 kids on their roster that they think they can coach up. And look at Jason Bean. They won all those games last year. They beat Oklahoma when Oklahoma was undefeated and ranked in the top 5, coming off a win over Texas down in Dallas. They beat them. And Jason Bean's the one who did it, and he did it with his arm and his legs. So they can coach guys up. It'll be interesting to see how good Kansas is. I think, barring mass injuries, I think that they win more than 8 games. I just believe that.
I agree, but I think there's also pressure to do that. There's more expectations this year than at least in the last plus decade. But to this point, Lance Leipold has continued to surpass expectations. We'll see if he can again this coming year. Remember, Neal Jones and I, in-depth college football every Saturday night come college football season on KCTV5, KC Sports Tonight at 10:30. Neal, we wrap up on Sporting Kansas City. You are heading out there at the end of tonight if they Well, regardless of whether or not they beat FC Dallas, starts at 8:10 at Children's Mercy Park. It is the U.S. Open Cup quarterfinals. Neal, they're playing a little bit better of late, and it's always cool to have this tournament outside of MLS play because it doesn't matter how bad your regular season might be going. This is an opportunity for them to make some more memories and have some more success, Neal.
What do you think about what happened? They're playing FC Dallas, for the second straight match. That last match, it got kind of nasty.
Right. They played. For those that don't know, they played on Sunday, and FC Dallas player threw the ball at the head of a Sporting player, and the Sporting player came back and knocked him down. Could be feisty because that guy got a red card.
Here's the deal. Unlike most soccer players, this guy, the Kansas City player, acted like he was a hockey player. He didn't fall down and pretend that he had brain damage. He got in the guy's face and chest bumped him. I was proud. I was like,
cool.
His teammates came up. I loved it. You can't fight in soccer. It's not like good sports in that regard. But this is about as close as you could get. I love the feistiness. But I promise you, Dallas, they're going to be, they're going to be talking about, we're going to get them now because they were mean to us. They didn't flop,
Right.
So that'll be interesting. And remember, it's the U.S. Open Cup, but it's not. It's the Lamar Hutt Trophy. That means something to Dallas, obviously, his hometown. I think doesn't the Hunt family still own that team down in Frisco, Texas? I'm not sure,
I believe. I don't know. They have ties,
They care down there, and they certainly care here. Peter Vermes will be talking about that. The players know it. This is the godfather of U.S. soccer, all right, Lamar Hunt. And this trophy's named for him, so it always means a lot when Kansas City is able to play and succeed in this tournament. And they've had some great runs in the U.S. Open over the years. And
it's another opportunity to get out in front of the Children's Mercy Park faithful. The season has not gone how Sporting players want, but every match is an opportunity. And especially for a lot of the guys that their future is uncertain. There's a lot of talk about having a lot of turnover this coming off season. They can move on from some players, and so every match is a chance for this team to make an impression to the fans, to the new management, and to Peter Vermes that, hey, I should be here for the long haul. We'll see how they respond.
Yeah, Peter Vermes has been pretty blunt that he did not think he was getting the effort. And you can accept injuries and you can accept bad finishes and bad luck. Nobody, especially Peter Vermes, is going to accept bad effort.
Yeah.
Not at this level. Okay,
regardless of competition.
This is professional. Right. You got to play. And if you don't want to play, then you're going to be gone. This is not like baseball or the NBA where you have these long-term guaranteed contracts. Teams will cut
they have
if they
turnover.
don't like it. My question to you is, if there's a problem night, if there's a riot on the field, should I go out and try to headbutt people with my camera?
Oh, not with your camera, with your
Dallas
fists.
people.
Yeah, I have faith with your
I'm
fists.
not going to hit somebody.
Yeah, no. That would be better than a camera. A camera will send somebody.
What you do is you get up next to him and turn around real quickly and hit him with the battery on the back of your camera, and then oh my gosh, I didn't see you. Are you okay, Mr. Dallas fan?
Well,
I didn't see that.
Here's the thing that people...
I'm only going to riot if you want me to, because you're the acting sports director while Scott's wherever Scott is, and nobody knows where he is. But here's what people... Do you want me to riot tonight?
Yes, of course. But what people don't know is that there's footage of Neal running on the field after a Nebraska-Oklahoma game where it was just fights on the field, fireworks, there were people taking their clothes off. Neal was right in the middle of that. And so I don't know if we want to recreate that. I've seen that video. Neal tries to hide it from people. He tries to keep a good name around here, but he let his guard down to me.